Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We've got an exciting week of a lot of tips coming up on Mark Fisher Outdoors. Thanks for tuning in on this Monday. A lot of these tips, by the way, are going to be coming from the day that I had yesterday on Lake Geneva with a couple of veterans. We took two different veterans out fishing, and it was a lot of teaching and catching fish, and we had a lot of fun. And so I'm going to take some of the tips that I was sharing with them and share them with you this week. The first one has to do with fishing a break line. So I'm out here in the backyard where I've actually got a little bit of a break in my contour of my backyard, and we're going to use that as a way to show you this tip. So stick around. Maybe we can take a little bit of what we had yesterday and put it out here for you today. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher. So as I said, I'm in my backyard. My backyard kind of has a contour break. It goes from a flat that is up high, and then it breaks down into, we would be standing right now in deeper water. Let me kind of show you how that looks. So you can see that I've got that higher elevation water that would be shallower water if we were in a boat and that was the bottom of the lake. And then you see this break that leads down to where we're standing now. So we're standing in the deep water right now, and that contour up there would be the shallower water. So yesterday when we were on Lake Geneva, I was saying that I wanted to fish the break. I wanted this veteran to be aware of the fact that a lot of the fish were holding on the break. So we went into deeper water, and I said cast towards the shallower water. And the first thing he did was what I'm about to show you. So here we are in the deeper water. Remember, we'd be up, and his first cast, he did exactly what I asked him to. We're in the deeper water, and he cast up to the shallower water. And then he worked his bait down the break line. Perfect, exactly what I asked him to do. It was almost natural in that one of the things we started talking about was, well, fishing is all just kind of luck, right? You just, you're lucky if you get a bite. And then my answer was, well, yeah, but fishing is about increasing your odds so that you're luckier than the other guy. And so I said, so since we're fishing a break, let's use this as an example. Right now, you made your cast up the break and you're working it back down. Let's increase your odds. So now what I'm going to have you do is, instead of casting up the break, I want you to cast across the break. So what I had him do now is, instead of casting up the break, he would cast across the break. So he still casted up to the high water, but instead of bringing his bait down on a straight line, he would bring his bait down across the break. This allowed his bait to come in front of a lot more potential fish as it came down the break, but came on an angle where it could potentially come across or in front of a lot more fish. And sure enough, if it didn't turn out that literally in the next cast or two, he came across a 3.5 pound smallmouth that bit and was very successful. That was a really telling moment for him, in that increasing those odds take it from just being lucky to letting that knowledge increase your odds. Guys, if you think that these kinds of tips increases your odds to catching fish, I hope that you would subscribe to Mark Fisher Outdoors. Click that notification button so that you get notified when our videos come out, and so that you can increase your chances of catching fish the next time you go out. That's why we're doing this. That's why we're here. is to help you catch more fish every time you go out fishing. So the other part of this concept would come into play if you were on a point. And so I've got kind of that same situation here in my backyard where I've got kind of a rounded point. You can see that the slope comes down from right to left, but then as we get here, I've got kind of a sloping point where it comes down left to right. So if I was here, instead of just working around the point and fishing straight ahead, I can make casts from my boat position where my camera is right now and make casts across the point this way. I can work straight down the point and I can make casts going across the point this way. But as I move the boat, I can continue to make casts as I go across the point, straight to the point, and going across the point this way. So I can maximize, instead of just coming down the point, coming down the point, coming down the point, I can actually cover more area if as I'm moving the boat, making 2 or 3 casts where the boat stands before I move the boat to reposition. And certainly if I'm starting to find that from this position, I'm getting bit as I'm dragging my bait here, and it seems to tell me that the fish are in that depth range they are, now I can focus more on, oh, they seem to be in this depth range, not over here deeper, not up there shallower, but in this depth range. Now I can position my boat to come across here in that depth range and make long casts that direction and try and hit more fish, letting the fish tell me what depth range they're in, and then targeting that depth range specifically and not wasting time covering the shallower water or the deeper water. Guys, I hope this was helpful. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you again tomorrow for another episode of Mark Fisher Outdoors. Take care, everybody.